Hello. I think it's honestly must be just my camera because there's no filters on. So I don't know, but my screen definitely looks pink. I think it's my camera. I think it's messed up. Okay, I got to move my keyboard out of the way because I'm sitting at my desk, but I'm going to pull out the cards because we're going to do the check-in. I mean, I'm going to wait a minute. Oh, wait. Shoot. Haha. That is weird. Oh, I didn't switch over. Haha. Sorry. I was trying to go live on both TikToks on my same TikTok on 2 different devices. Anyway, here we are. Here we are. Oh, look at that. Interesting. Hello, how are you? So I'm going to do the check-in momentarily. Sorry, I do an energy check-in with cards. I don't know, we'll see what we get up to today, but part of what we're going to talk about is also the movement of the planets over the course of the week. So we're going to do the celestial briefing is what I call it. And we are referring to the true sky when we're talking about this. So it's the actual planets as they move through the sky. You can check on any live app, and that's where the planets will be. Okay, so I don't deal in tropical astrology. I deal in true sidereal. I do readings and in true sidereal as well that you can find. But I'm going to do a card reading first. The tea is hot. How are you? Hello, hello. Oh, I haven't even done any sharing. Sharing is caring. I have to let people know that I'm live. That's the way we do it. Hello, hello. Stick around. How are you? I share it out to all these people on my list all the time, but I don't know how many of them actually show up. I used to have pretty hopping lives too, but I took a little detour for a little bit and trying to rebuild my collective. So hopefully this goes out to those who are meant to be a part of that. Those who are interested in learning all about who and what you are and how you're meant to live, who like all things energy and truth and all of that stuff. Yeah. If you're into those things, if you're into spirituality, maybe tarot cards, healing. Okay, I'm pretty sure I've gotten everybody now. All right, we're going to do sharing on this one because we have to share on both. Hello, hello. There, good enough. Good enough. Okay, so we're just going to give it a minute to see. And actually, I wanted to, it's 2 minutes after. It's okay. We can wait a little bit. Give it a minute. So we're going to talk, we're going to do a collective check-in with my cards, and then we are going to talk a little bit, and we will also check in on what's happening with the planets this week. And, well, who knows? We'll probably learn some things. I like learning. Maybe we'll learn some things from each other. It's always that possibility. I'm just waiting for a minute so that my followers know that I'm live. So we'll just give it a minute. Yeah, let's learn. What would you like to learn? Hello. What would you like to learn? You might be surprised what I know. You might be. Right? Could be very surprised. And I'm thinking of that. Say hello and let me know where you're from. I was thinking about that because just this past weekend, This past week I had car problems and I addressed my own car problems. Yeah. Hi, I'm originally from Ontario, but out in Alberta now. I lived here for, I think it was 14 years or so, and then I moved away and came back. So yeah. All right, so we're going to get into the collective reading, and this is a general reading. So remember, you're only going to take what resonates and you're going to let go of the rest. We'll see what we get up to today. I did not do my channeled message this morning, so there's always a possibility that I might sit with that, but we'll do the collective reading. We'll check in on the sky. Hello, how are you, Larry? Nice to see you. Thanks you for joining me. All righty, let's see what the cards have to say for the collective today. Can we get a good message, Spirit? The energy is really moving. I'm feeling a much more positive vibe. I've been seeing and sensing, even with the messages, there's definitely a message of, I'm just going to pick them up off the floor. Apparently they're all falling from the table, so that's okay. But just generally the energy, right? There's a positive. Okay, that's it from that deck. We'll pull some cards from the Way Oracle afterwards, but sorry, I had to get close to pick up all the cards. Oh my goodness. They scattered them everywhere. All right. So let's see what we're dealing with. You know me, I got to go through the cards and sort them out so that I have my little story that we can tell. And then we're going to add everything else into it as well, okay? Because we have to pull on the intuition. Okay. I have to see what's coming up with that. Some interesting, so far, it's looking pretty good. Okay. Ooh, I like it. I like it. I like it. So what I was saying before is there's this energy right now, and it's energy that's coming because of the celestial bodies, all of the planets that are, the way that they are progressing, right? Where Pluto is, where all of the planets are, is coming together to create a specific energy. It's also, as each one of us is awakening, we are raising the consciousness of the planet, which is also raising the vibration. And as the frequency rises and the light on the planet gets more and more and more, we're going to hit a moment where we're going to have like such joy, because there's a tipping point, right? There's always a tipping point. Okay, let's get to the cards. The one card that I noted that came out right away is the card that everybody is always worried about, and that's the Tower card. Luckily, this time it came out in the inverted position, which is actually the nicer position for the Tower card to arrive in. Because when it's inverted, it means that you narrowly avoided disaster. So there was something that you were going through, and this is collectively. So there's something that we were going through collectively that we just narrowly avoided. And it could be because you're at home doing work and I'm at home doing work, and there's all these people that are doing collective work. And because we keep doing these things, like when you think about the monks that did the peace walk, right? I know of other organizations that are doing that. Every week I do a global meditation for peace. I know that there's other people that do that. And all of that energy coming together is raising the vibration of the earth. And I think that that's what's contributing to the fact that we narrowly avoided some sort of disaster. All right. So we also had the 10 of fire in the shadow. Okay. So when the 10 of fire is in the reverse position, this is also about release. You're letting go of things. There's a breakthrough that's happening. So this is collectively, right? We narrowly avoided disaster. There's this beautiful breakthrough that's coming, and we're burning away those limitations. And I think that a lot of us, more of us now, are starting to awaken to the fact that we are spirits having a human experience, and that a lot of what we've been taught throughout our lives is really lies or deceptions or manipulations. And as the truth continues to be revealed, we start to release all of those old structures, and we're no longer giving our attention to it, right? As we find out more and more things that are true, we are not going to, we're not going to support Hollywood, let's say, or we're not going to support billionaires, let's say. And, the time is turning. And with that turning, it means that the money and everything is going to turn and be in the hands of those who are deserving of it. So then we have also the 3 of earth with this. So when there's the 3 of earth, this can be related to the fact that there's a lack of teamwork. It could be that there's something that's unfinished, or there were misaligned efforts. There was something within the soul circles that we were in that was not working. And that is collectively all of these long-term structures, right? Financial structures, these long-term belief systems and ideals, they're all crumbling. And we have to let them go so that we can make room for the new. And collectively, that's what's happening. And I know that it's painful, or it can be chaotic, or it can be challenging. But if you rise with the challenges that you're experiencing, then you are going to be in the position to elevate to that next level, as opposed to be taken down into the lower level. And I think you'll know what I mean with that. Okay, let's get through all of these cards because we have quite a few. All right, let's start with fire. Let's start with fire because there were 2 fires. So we got 7 and 8, and this is just that evolution. So the 7 is this defiance, this resilience energy. And we really are, as a collective, rising up, and we are saying, no, this is the way that it is meant to be. Like, we're asserting our position more. We're asserting our, I do not consent. You know, and I step up to that every day. I walk outside, and if I see checkerboard in my sky, I claim I do not consent, right? It's good, isn't it? Exactly. We just keep rising. So there is, and it's also about boundaries. We're starting to put those boundaries in place. We're not leaking out our energy and just giving it away to everything. And as more people rise, like me, who teach, spiritual practices, it's not that I am teaching you spirituality, because spirituality is something that is internal. It's something that you do. I'm just reminding you of maybe practices that you've forgotten, or reminding you of who and what you are and how we're meant to live, because I've just done the research, or I've opened to that knowledge, right? That's all I'm doing. All right. So, and boundaries are huge right now, huge. I feel them in everybody that I'm talking to is talking about how it's coming up in their lives. This, like boundaries, or, relationships are going through these dynamics because people are actually being, called on it. You have to stand on your word. So we've got the 8 of fire as well. And this is fast moving energy. So what we're going through right now, it is fast, and we feel that. I mean, I know there's people out there that are like, wow, the days are going by. I'm the same one. The days are going by so fast. And I had somebody ask me, how fast do you think an hour is now? And I said, I feel like it's 45 minutes. I feel like every 45 minutes, we're actually moving to the next hour, even though, it's saying on the clock that it's an hour. But my clocks are all digital. Yes. Always reevaluating as we're moving up. So the 8 of fire is another breakthrough energy, right? So we have this double breakthrough energy. We have swift decisions are being made, and there are sudden opportunities. And the other beauty about the 8 of fire is that this is divine timing card, right? So we have divine timing, and we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Okay. So I just wanted to pause here just for a moment and kind of toot my own horn. I just wanted to let you know that these cards are all my cards. I painted all of these pictures. This is the Ethereum Tarot deck. Sorry, the Ethereum Tarot deck. It is only available here, and someday will be available as a purchase. But right now, this is my exclusive. All these decks that I use are my exclusive decks. And I have more in the works, but I just wanted to say that because I love these pictures. Okay, so we have that breakthrough energy as well. So let's see, what else do we have? Let's bring in the ether now. Now the ether, remember we were talking about, we had the 3 of, thank you, Danny. So we had the 3 of earth, and that was in the reverse position, where it was the loss of all these long-term structures. The 3 of ether is divine teamwork. So now we're starting to work in collaboration. We're starting to align with people on a spiritual level. We're starting to connect with people who align with us energetically. right? And those boundaries that we're asserting is a huge part of that. So we're now calling in our soul tribe. We're now starting to work, and I've been doing this. I commune with the forest. I go sit in the forest and I ask for messages. I connect every day to my higher self. I ask for messages. Most times I get messages from me, but sometimes, like the other day, it was Mother Gaia who delivered a message, and I share those channeled messages on my channel now. I've started doing that. I used to just keep it all to myself, but now I'm starting to share them more. But because of people like that, like me, who are sharing these things more of us are starting to work with the elements. More of us are going outside and just sitting in nature and just being there, or we're speaking into our water. We're claiming we're declaring our sovereignty, or declaring that we are not giving consent. So we're starting to work with the elements. You're seeing more people showing up that are doing things like telekinesis, or telepathy is coming up more often. Like, these things are I need to take a sip. I was reaching for it and I was like, I need to pause. I'm getting that tickle, like right there. But we're starting to work with we're starting to see all of these things rise. And as we see those things rise, it's going to spike new interest in those things. And it's going to make other people aware that that is something that also they can do. You just have to do the work. You just have to practice, right? So if you want to hear your higher self, you actually have to sit down and try to listen to it. If you're never listening for it, you're never going to hear it, right? You actually have to listen for it. And it's not as, insane or abstract or crazy as you might think. Hi, Corey. It's literally just sitting with yourself, and then the answer that comes, like the firm parent, like it's loving and firm and direct, and it feels very stable and steady. That's the higher self. That's the one that says that this is what you should do. Okay. All right. What's the next card that's coming out? We have also, I'm going to save the major arcana for last. There's two of those. So we've got the Queen of Earth, and the Queen of Earth is the healer, right? She has made it. She is financially successful. She is abundant. She is grounded, like she knows who she is, doesn't question it. And the she is just, like it has nothing to do with gender. Okay. This applies to masculine energy as well. Because we all have masculine and feminine energy within us. The divine union, or sacred union, as I call it, the sacred union begins within. When you heal the masculine and feminine wounding that you have, and you stand in healthy masculinity and healthy femininity, and you balance and flow between the two, because the masculine contains the structure, the feminine contains the flow, and you need both. So that's what we're supposed to do within. And when we become that sacred union within, we can have that sacred union with someone else who has also found that sacred union. And so the card Queen, or feminine, calling it she, that has nothing to do with gender. Okay. It's just the energy behind it. So the Queen of Earth reminds you that true wealth comes from a balance of material success and emotional fulfillment. So we're getting both. This is the epitome of, just that beautiful space that everybody wants to be in. All right. So we got a couple of other cards. So we are heading to this space. Like I said, that abundance is being returned to the people who are supposed to have that abundance. The emotional fulfillment is coming to all of us. And now we've got two cards coming out. So we've got the Hermit. The Hermit is asking for us to have isolation and solitude. And what that means is that as the individual, yes, we want to have our collective, we want to have our soul tribe, we want to have all of that. But we want to pull back so we are not being inundated with information. Many of us are in overload, right? We were seeing 3,000 files dropped all at once. That was an overload of information meant to traumatize many people, meant to overstimulate your system, and to cause issues within the public. those are the reasons why things are done on purpose, and they're on purpose to create fear or to create confusion or to create polarity or to create a belief system of some sort, right? It's propaganda. And so that, and so we have to be aware and use our discernment, and anything that we're looking at, we have to sit with it and feel it in our body. Well, if you're so traumatized, or if you have been so disconnected from your body through all these different ways, or if you're operating in your fight, flight, freeze, disassociate, when you're operating in those things, you are not able to connect to your body in the right way. And that means that you're unable to discern things as well as you should be able to discern them. So the withdrawing, it is the introspection. It is seeking within, because you're going to find it within. It's that soul searching, divine reflection. And I think that many of us have within the collective, we have to pull back and we have to just do that. We have to do that deep soul searching. We have to sit with ourselves. We have to really, we need to understand the deep wisdom that comes from that inner guidance. Okay, so that's what we need to look for. So the Hermit reminds you that true wisdom comes not from the outside world, but from the depths of your soul. So that's what the Hermit's asking us to do, or the collective to do, but as an individual within the collective. We also have the High Priestess. Now, the High Priestess, this is deep intuition. So as we go through this introspection, and as we gather this deep wisdom from that inner guidance, we are taking that inner wisdom and that applying that with deep intuition and sacred knowledge, right? This is a time to trust your inner knowing and seek wisdom from beyond the material world. The High Priestess is your reminder that power is found in stillness, in listening, and in aligning with unseen forces that guide you. Honor your inner voice. It knows the way. So I think this is a beautiful message for the collective. It's such a positive message that we're getting. And I'm so happy that I could share that with you. All right, let's check in with the 44 keys of the way. Just get a couple, maybe one or two, well, 2 cards right there. Let's see. All right. Let's see what else we have. Okay. They want to give us a few cards. That's okay. These ones have some practical stuff, and then we're going to check in with the, they gave me more than I was intending, but that's okay. It's almost like a journey with these cards. I think it's so cute. Okay. What's this one? Oh my, we got 2 flame cards. That's beautiful. Okay. We've got the Trial, and that's aligning with that beautiful Tower card that we just got a moment ago. And the Trial card is, there's an affirmation, and the affirmation is challenges refine my strength. And the remembrance is that difficulty exposes structure. What holds under pressure is what is real. Trials are often feedback, not verdicts. Skill grows through response. So when you have a challenge, what I said earlier, if you rise to that challenge and you face it head on, right? You come into it, you're going to be able to overcome that challenge, and you're going to come out the other side stronger. You're going to have overcome something that was either a weakness, something that was a trauma, something that was a scar, something that, in some way you are going to grow and evolve and become stronger because of that. We have the flame of origin. We also have the steady flame. The flame of origin is, I am the flame of the divine origin made manifest. And the remembrance is, you are not here to become, you are here to remember, right? And you are. That's what I tell everybody all the time. The flame has never left you and does not need improvement, only recognition. That's all you have to do is remember who and what you are. That's it. Just remember who. Who are you? Who are you at your core? What are you at your core? Right? And just, that's it. You're good. I'm kidding. But yes, right? You just need to remember. Okay, so the flame has never left you and does not need improvement, only recognition. Beneath roles, reactions, and history, a steady light remains. When you return to stillness, that original light becomes accessible under directive. Place your hand on your heart and inhale for 4 seconds and exhale for 6. And you can do this for 6 seconds. Okay. And then you whisper, I return to the flame that made me, and sit in silence for 60 seconds. I love that one. All right. I've got a few more cards because, like I said, it threw out a few at me. But I love them. So we're going to do them in numerical order because I just think, why not? All right. The next card, because this, well, I didn't do it numerical because I started with 16, but I have since, so we'll go with that. All right. We did the flames back to back. We had the flame of origin, and now we have the steady flame. Okay. So the steady flame, affirmation. My inner flame remains steady in all circumstances. Remembrance. Power is not intensity, it is stability. A steady flame does not flare with every wind. When steadiness is cultivated, you become reliable to yourself. From steadiness, decisions simplify and energy is conserved. So your practice is to sit upright, visualize a calm flame at your heart, and hold your attention for 3 minutes without changing it. I will confirm now or my work yet done, but I guess if I'm done, I will lock my door. All right, we've got the breath of life. Okay, the affirmation is my breath reconnects me to the sacred life within, to the source of life within. Sorry, I can't even read. My breath reconnects me to the source of life within. Remembrance. Breath regulates the body and clarifies the mind. It is always available and always current. When you lengthen the exhale, the system settles and perception sharpens. Breath is the simplest reset. Next, we've got the grounded step. So we're taking a nice grounded step. The affirmation, I move through life with stability and awareness. The remembrance, grounding converts insight into action. Without it, ideas remain abstract. Stability reduces reactivity and increases follow through. And it does. If you ground yourself before making a decision, you're going to make a decision that's more aligned with you than if you're making decisions from a dysregulated space. The last card that came out of the Way Oracle is the little sacred responsibility is what this one is called. And the affirmation is, I honor the responsibility of conscious living. Remembrance, awareness increases choice. Choice increases responsibility. Alignment requires follow through. So you're to identify one aligned choice, execute it today, and then track your results. All right. We're going to check in now on the celestial alignment. So we'll see what we are getting with the planets this week, what our transitions are. We still are in Pisces season until the 18th, where we switch to Aries, where the sun actually moves into the sign of Aries. Mainstream focuses on tropical astrology, which is the sky frozen from 2,000 years ago. And what I work with is the living sky. And the living sky, you can check it on any app or program on the computer. The one that I use is the Sky Live. So it's just www.theskylive.com. So it makes it really easy. And you can look at all kinds of celestial bodies, the sun, the moon, all kinds of other stuff, and confirm what I'm saying to you. The only thing that may change is if I mention a specific time on what something is happening, I'll let you know that's mountain time, which is the time zone that I'm in. But I lost my train of thought. But I usually mention that. I'm usually pretty clear at saying, like, that's my time zone. It would be whatever your time zone is if you were to switch. Okay. So before we get into the sky, though, I'm going to have a sip. Probably a drink was more adequate of what that was. Okay, so before we get started on the celestial alignment, one of the things that I do a lot is I help people with their nervous system. I started off as a nurse and then I transitioned into helping people with trauma and mental health. And I still do that. And a huge part of everything that I've done has focused on the nervous system. And even when we're talking about spirituality and awakening, there is a huge focus on the nervous system. So what I want you to do right now is, before you even get into the sky, before we even get into the sky, I want you to just notice your system for a minute, not your thoughts, just your system. And when you say, and when you check in on your system and you make that intention, you're going to feel that. You're going to feel yourself dip into that space and know that you're checking your system. So things may not be really clear right now, but you might notice that you're not feeling like things are as loud as they used to be, right? It might feel like things are a bit quieter externally, right? There maybe you feel like there's a bit more space, or there's maybe some like less urgency. And if you're not feeling that, then I'm going to encourage you to do something else, which is going to be just to put your hand on your heart and to take a nice slow deep breath in. Pause. And then let it out nice and slow. Do you feel a little better? If not, we can do it another way as well. We have one hand on our chest. Oh, lovely. I love that. I love yoga. I try to do it every morning. Sometimes I miss though, but I don't beat on myself when I miss. I just try to get back to it as soon as I can. Got to be kind to ourselves, right? So that matters, right? It matters being in that space of peace, right? It matters being in that comfortable space. It took me a long time to cultivate peace. And so that matters a lot to me now. And it's something that I treasure very much. So I work on maintaining that. And I have to do that through a variety of ways, whether it's breath work, meditation, yoga, mindfulness, nature, whatever it is. So there's many different ways, journaling, right? It's the best. That's why I like doing the meditation on the weekend, because on Saturdays right now it's at 10:45. I might change that to later in the day, or maybe like make it an evening meditation on Saturdays. I'll figure it out because I have the opportunity to go and set up a table at a farmer's market on Saturday earlier in the day. So I might switch that. But we meditate on peace. And when you're like me and we can feel peace because we cultivate it, so we know it. So when we send out peace, we're sending out that's just beautiful peace that we've cultivated, and sharing that and just beautiful, just beautiful. Everybody that you go around, when you're in peace, you're putting that out there, that energy. So right now, while we're finishing out that Pisces season, we are working through that moment where things are going to start becoming obvious, right? And we just needed things to settle so that we could get that clarity that we needed. Because oftentimes think about when you're being inundated with all kinds of information, right? How hard is it for you to make a decision in that moment? Right? It's hard because you need a lack of input to be able to get clear with what's inside of you in order to make a decision that is good for you. And so this is what we're moving through with this week, because as we approach the 18th, right? The 18th is when we begin Aries season, and that's when we're going to want to be moving ahead. Also, we're ending the retrograde with Mercury. So we'll look at those things. So This is what we're working with. Right now, we've got the sun in Pisces. We have Mercury in Aquarius. We have Venus in Aries. We have Mars in Pisces, Jupiter in Gemini, Saturn in Pisces, Neptune in Taurus. Oh, sorry, Uranus in Taurus, Neptune in Pisces, and Pluto in Capricorn. And this week, we are starting with the moon in Aquarius today. And then the moon is going to progress to Pisces, Aries, and then next week on the 12th, it'll be in, or sorry, next week on the 19th, it'll be in Taurus. So we're going to progress through those signs with the moon. And the moon is your emotional landscape. So this is everybody's emotional landscape, that everybody is going to be dealing with this emotional energy being out there and how that affects you as an individual. So this is what we're going to talk about. We start, like I said, on the 12th is Aquarius, 14th Pisces, 17th Aries, and then the 19th on Taurus. And the moon is showing us the emotional sequence. Aquarius is going to give us perspective, and then we're going to move into Pisces, where Pisces is going to soften and dissolve, right? And then Aries is going to say, okay, this is what's left, guys. Let's initiate. And then Taurus stabilizes it. So by Saturday of next week, we're going to be stabilizing everything that we've processed through from this week, from that observation into feeling, into activation, into grounding. Okay. And that's the pathway that we go with this week. So let's talk about the planetary field and what is being emphasized. And I have to say, it is the fish. We have a lot of Pisces energy right now. Now, I will say it again, I am working with the true sky. You can go to www.thelivesky and check out where the planets are, and it will be the same as what I'm saying. Mainstream astrology utilizes the tropical system, which was frozen 2,000 years ago, and I like to work with the true energies. So that's what we're talking, is the true energies. Hi, Maria. How are you, love? So we're in Pisces, and not just with the sun, but like I said, we had Neptune, we had Pluto. I wanted to say Capricorn, but that's what Pluto governs. We had Capricorn in Pisces. We have the sun in Pisces, Mars in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, and Neptune in Pisces. I got it. Pluto is in Capricorn. Oh my goodness. I had to go back and look at the sheet. So there's a lot of Pisces on the board. Just put it that way. There's a lot of Pisces on the board. So this is still a period of time where we have sensitivity and integration, and we're also doing that inner listening. There's a few different types of astrology. What it's called when it is not tropical, if it's utilizing two of the plane, like there's sidereal and then there's true sidereal. So true sidereal takes it a step further, and it works with the living sky, and it also utilizes the 13th sign. Sidereal works with the living sign, the living sky, but it does not incorporate Ophiuchus and there's something small about it. I have to look at what the difference between those two are. The reason why I use true sidereal is just because it's the most honest, it's the most aligned, it's what the sky is doing right now. And to me, that just feels like I should be working with the sun in Pisces if the sun is in Pisces right now. I shouldn't be working with it in Aries if it ain't there yet, because they're two different energies. Pisces wants me to be reflective. Pisces, I'm definitely more emotional. I'm definitely integrating all the lessons and all of the stuff. And, like Pisces is a beautiful energy, and we need to understand those energies and work with them when they're there and in the way that they're meant to be worked with. I just realized I covered my comments, so I better check that. We're good. We're good. All right. So Pisces is not somebody that forces direction. It just reveals what is true by dissolving what is false or what is unsustainable. So you may be in relationships where things are coming to the surface and it's asking you to question those things. It's just bringing up what is not working within that dynamic, and it's giving you the opportunity to either grow and evolve so that you can continue to work together, or it's showing you that you can't work together or you can't be together. It'll come up in other ways. It's not just about relationships, although a lot of our stuff does show up in relationships. It can show up in your workplace. It can show up in you as an individual, that there's just more emotional energy. So with Mars also in Pisces, now remember, Mars is our direction. It's our drive. It's that real masculine kind of energy. It's like it's not going though. It's in Pisces, right? So Mars is not saying that we're going to take quick action. It's not that immediate right now energy. It's slower paced, and that can be challenging, right? Because that means that we're sitting in the emotions and we're spending more time there because we're not running through it, because my ear's ringing so bad. Good message about that it's important to know that action is moving through feeling, intuition, and your internal processing. And that can really make people feel slow and feel more than you want to feel. I don't know. You won't know either. Yeah. And right. So we also have Mercury in Aquarius, right? So this is going to be changing those, the perspective, right? Because when we're looking at that, right? Sorry, I got sidetracked. I had to block that person because he said your hair smells really pretty when you're sleeping, and that's why I said you'll never know, and then blocked him. But that was, just somebody being offside. Okay. Mercury in Aquarius is keeping our perspective available, because Aquarius is the future. Aquarius is the big perspective. They're seeing the big picture. They're very innovative processing. Like, that's the energy of Aquarius. And Mercury is our thoughts. That's how we process things. It's how we communicate. So it's giving us a bigger perspective. So we're able to understand maybe other people's perspective, or we're maybe able to look at how this will affect us in the future, right? So we're able to have that long-term vision, which is good. So this is going to help us to step back. Because it's also detached energy. So Aquarius will make you to step back, and it's going to ask you to observe patterns and to think, like I said, from that wider frame. And we also have Venus in Aries. So Venus, these are your big ones, right? So the sun, the moon, Mercury, Mars, and Venus, those are your really big ones. And then you can, and then your rising, if you were looking at your natal chart, that's huge. And but when we're looking at the energy throughout the day or throughout the week, we're looking at these 5, because the sun is your expression. The moon is your emotional landscape, or and memory. It's linked to a lot of things. The Mercury is your thoughts and communications and how you process things. When you're looking at Venus is your desire, it's attraction, it's beauty, magnetism, it's nurturing, it's love, it's desires, it's all of the, I might have said desires twice. You have Mars, which is direction, it's motivation, it's forward movement. It's how you're going to enter into things. And then you have, did I get it? Did I miss anything? Venus, Mars, Mercury, the moon, your emotions, I think I got them all. All right. So these are the ones that you need to be keeping an eye on a more regular basis. The other planets move more slowly. So you're only checking in on them really when they transition, or if there's some other interaction between another planet and what you're looking at. So if Jupiter, say, is in Gemini, and then all of a sudden you notice that it's being conjuncted at that time by the moon or something else, then you would want to look at Jupiter again at that time, because it's coming back into having more of an effect. But for the most part, we look at those longer the longer planets in a more collective or a long-term way. Like when Pluto moves so slowly through the celestial bodies that it's a very long-term energy, right? The longest term energy that we really deal with. Okay, so Jupiter in Gemini Venus in Aries, it continues to clarify your desires. What you want becomes much more direct. So you're able to have those questions or to be more clear in what you're saying when it comes to your desires. So you're less vague, and there's also less negotiation because you just know. Aries is no, I want that. That's Aries energy. So now we can move to Jupiter in Gemini, which expands your awareness through ideas, information, and conversation. So you may find yourself enjoying those conversations, having really intellectual or deep or profound conversations that are really opening you up. And that's the Gemini and Jupiter combination. And Gemini is at home in Jupiter as well. We have Saturn and Neptune, again, Pisces energy. So this is going to continue emphasizing the need to bring spirituality, feeling, and intuition into something more lived and embodied. This is why we're seeing the spiritual leaders fall right now, is because of these energies, because they're asking you to look at somebody who's claiming to be spiritual, who's got this big following, who's got all this money, like, Deepak was one of them that's fallen, and others are going to fall. The reason why that's happening is because they are not embodying the truth. They were false lights is what I call them. I don't call them false prophets or anything like that, because I don't think that Deepak ever claimed to be a prophet, but they are false lights, right? They shone a light and attracted people to them, and but they weren't embodying what they were actually doing. The light wasn't real. And so now we are going to see these things fall, and we're going to be asking for more of this to be lived and embodied within the structures that are around in society as well. We have Uranus in Taurus, and this is keeps changing what stability means. Uranus is about change and sometimes radical change, and Taurus is about stability. So these two are going at it back and forth with what is stability? What does that mean to the individual? What does that mean to the collective, right? And how do we get there? And then you have Pluto in Capricorn, and we have heard through mainstream astrology, it is in it's Aquarius, the season of Aquarius, and it's the Great Rebellion and all of that. That's not the true energy that we're experiencing right now. We have Pluto in Capricorn, and this continues exposing structures that are no longer viable. I talk about Capricorn all the time, like big daddy energy, and Capricorn is coming into Pluto, and that's the structures that oversee a lot of stuff, like our financial structures, our religious structures, all of that. And Capricorn's coming in and saying, what is standing in integrity? That's Capricorn energy. Is, like, if this isn't true, if this isn't a solid foundation, tear it down and get rid of it. We can't build the future from this. So that's the energy that we're getting right now. It's asking us to look at everything that's out there, all of these big structures, and ask what is true, what is real, what can last long term, what is in alignment with us. All of this energy is working together, and you can see that collectively, and you can feel that individually, and maybe see some of that more on an individual scale, especially, like I said, when you're looking at those first 6 planets. So right now, this whole entire field of planets and everything, the energy that we're going, is asking what is actually taking shape beneath the surface and what is no longer able to hold. What do we have to get rid of? right? So that we can move forward into the new earth. We can't build from the structures that are here, right? Corruption doesn't correct corruption. It just doesn't happen that way, right? And these structures were built in dysfunction and in uh, manipulation and lies, right? Like there's so many distortions. That's the word, dysfunction and distortion. So we can't fix that. We have to build new. That's what we're dealing with. All right, let's talk about our emotional progression that we're going to go through. So this is our emotional sequence over the week. And this is applying to everybody, right? And how it's going to affect you will definitely change depending on how you deal with emotions. And so if you have, if you're Capricorn, you are very contained with your emotions. You may even seem very detached with your emotions, as an example. So emotionally, you may not experience this as deeply as somebody, say, like Pisces, who emotionally is more porous and feels things much more deeply, can be very, very sensitive. Okay. Leo takes it very much to the heart, because that's what Leo governs, is that authenticity, and has that pride factor, right? So it can get hurt. It can get hurt in the heart. Okay. So we start with the Aquarius moon. Right now we're in Aquarius moon, and Aquarius gives us distance that allows us to step back, have a perspective, and observe without immediately collapsing into emotion. And this is very useful because it allows us to make decisions from a clear head, not from that emotional space, right? Because if we're making it from that emotional space, it might not be the right decision. And maybe we were doing that yesterday. I gotta have to check and see when wait, let me see. Yeah, it just came into Aquarius today. So yesterday we were in different energy. All right. So the beauty of this is we're going to start this week with perspective before we move into those deeper feelings of the Pisces moon, which happens on the 14th. So the moon moves into Pisces, and what was observed now becomes felt. And this is where we can become softer. We can become more emotional, more intuitive, but we're also less defined. And this doesn't have to be confusing unless you're trying to force certainty in that moment, because this is just the dissolving phase. So just allow Pisces to just dissolve what's not, like move through those emotions, let go of the stuff that you don't need to hold on to, and, and soften to some things. And then when Aries comes in, this is where we're going to move back into that momentum, that desire to act is going to be there. And because we come out of Pisces, it's really important to ask whether that impulse is aligned or if it's simply relief from the uncertainty of that previous phase. Some of us are very fast movers. If you've got a lot of Aries in your chart, you are going to be somebody that makes decisions, especially if you have Aries in Mercury or Aries rising. You very easily could be the person that makes quick decisions. But sometimes those decisions are made on impulse, and that means they're not necessarily the right decision. So when you have Aries, it's really, really the lesson for someone with Aries is to move through the body, not through the mind. And that's the challenge. Oh, beautiful. So you know what you want. That's according to, you know what? I'd like to, you should check out a true sidereal chart. I was, because most times it moves by one. So if you're Aquarius sun, that means that you would actually be Capricorn sun. And if you're Pisces moon, that means that you would end up being Aquarius moon. And if you're Taurus rising, that would mean that you would most likely be Aries rising. Hi, Dandy. And then your Venus would be in Pisces. which is beautiful. I mean, and no matter what they are, like I love looking at the different charts and the way that they come together to make up an individual. When I see the signs now, because I don't work in distortions, right? I don't work in distortions. I work in the truth, right? So what I mean about that is, I look at Pisces. Like Pisces is just a beautiful energy. When you have Pisces in Venus, that's somebody who's very romantic, a very a deep feeler, a deep lover. Yeah, very intuitive, very intuitive. So yeah, yeah, right. And when you think about when you get up in the morning, are you ready to go? Do you just get up ready? When you enter when do you enter a thing like just yeah, Taurus is not like that. Taurus is a slow riser. Taurus could herkadurkle in their bed for a couple of hours in the morning. I can't herkadurkle. That's a term for like lazing in your bed, right? Like my alarm goes off and I am up. I have to force myself to slow down because I'm Aries rising. I have to put in roadblocks. Like I have to. And then physical movement, perfect. Yoga, like all of that, like you have to have movement in your day. Like there has to be movement. And when people take a long time, like that's like, like I was like, I was ready yesterday. Like, can we go now? So, hi, Aries rising. So, yeah, it would be interesting to look at your chart. I do full readings at my site. You can go check that out. But if you do check out a free, I compare it to the true sky. Like I have different. So, the one thing that they do though is you have is it depends on where they consider the midpoint or the end or the edges of each sign. And I calculated out all the signs. I made my own wheel. I did all of that stuff. It was kind of crazy. Hi, Rob John. How are you? We're talking about all kinds of things, but right now, like we were going through the signs and then we started talking about natal charts a little bit and true sidereal. All right, so we got the moon in Aries. So now we've got that impulse. We're like, let's move, let's go. And we just need to make sure, hang on a second. Is this we just want to move because we had to slow down for a moment? Or is this because this is actually what we want to move on? And then on Saturday, we are going into where we now have Taurus, and Taurus is going to ground everything that we just experienced for the week. This is where we finally know this is what's going to actually hold. This is what's sustainable. This is what has substance. So this week is not only about feeling or thinking. It's about seeing whether what begins to move can actually stabilize. So this is a test, kind of like a testing week, right? You've made somewhat of a decision. And you think this is where the future is going to go. You think this is what's going to go, but you just, you just have to work through these little things and make sure, right? It's almost like if you had like a really, really big fight and, like really bad things were said to one another or done to one another. And after that fight, you've apologized and they were beautiful apologies, but now you're like, okay, but is the behavior changed? Is there going to be a change in the way that things show up, or is, has there been, that's the kind of energy of this week, is saying what is actually going to stabilize here? Like what is the end result of all of this? My website is linked in my bio. The Sky Live is a site that allows you to track the Sky Live. But if you want to do a free natal chart in True Sidereal, you can use Mastering the Zodiac. When if I do your reading and you give me your stuff, I confirm it with the true sky. So I'll change everything in the sky to the time of your birth, and then I'll look at every single planet at that time when you were born to confirm it. And if there's anything, then I make adjustments in it and update you. And it just means where the end line is just different. That's all. But Mastering the Zodiac is where you can get your true sidereal. You can get a free true sidereal free true sidereal natal chart. So that's the living sky when you were born. And the sky live is where you can go and look at the sky as it is right now, where everything is. So you can confirm everything that I've taught. Everything that I talk about, it would be true in the sky as it is. And I think those are the energies we're supposed to work with, right? We're supposed to be dealing with the truth. That's what we're supposed to do, is remember our truth. Remember the truth of who and what we are and how we're meant to live. And a part of learning that truth is learning that we've been working with an astrology system that has been hijacked and manipulated, and it's outdated. It's actually attached more to your ego. So if you're really, really in your ego, you may identify more with those signs that are in that. But when you start to look at your true signs and understand the actual natal chart, the way that it's supposed to be utilized, then you start to understand the energies a bit more, and you'll see how it really truly aligns to you and your energy. And as you start to work with it and honor it the way that it is, you'll see how nice it is. But even just that little talk, right, about Aries rising, and how Taurus would be lying in bed and just relaxing, but Aries is up and ready to go, and you're up and ready to go, so you have to be Aries rising, right? Like Taurus would never. I know Taurus rising. I thought I was Taurus rising too. I used to think I was that person, but I was never somebody that lays around in bed. Just wasn't. All right, so I like to do a little teaching stream on each show, and today I wanted to talk about the difference between activation and stabilization, because a lot of times, like really a lot of people know how to activate, or they go out and they seek all these activations, right? They know how to get inspired, they know how to get excited, they know how to decide, they know how to begin. But then that's where it kind of falters off, right? After they begin, it just starts to wane, and because they don't know how to stabilize it. And that's the reason why for many people, they don't know how to sustain things, because they haven't learned how to stabilize things. And if you work with the energies of the sky, you can experience that and work with it in real time, that Aries is going to activate and then Taurus is going to stabilize. But if you skip that stabilization, you go straight into, I've got an idea and I'm ready to go, and just activate it and run, then you might mistake the motion for progress, as opposed to realizing that you've stabilized it and now it's ready to grow, and it's growing from that foundation, and that it is meant to sustain, right? It's not, I'm just in a rush. I'm operating from urgency or whatever. You're operating from that grounded, stable space of knowing it. Okay. So when we look at the whole field together, we're seeing that Venus in Aries is saying what you want is becoming very clear. Okay. Mars in Pisces is saying don't force action before it's aligned. We got to pause for a bit, make sure that it's right. Mercury in Aquarius says keep observing the pattern. What patterns are you seeing? And if the patterns continue to be the same, that's your cue that you're either not learning or they're not learning, but the growth isn't happening, right? And unless you want to continue seeing that pattern, you have to do something different, because if you continue to do what you always did, you're going to get what you always got. It's the law. It is the law. If every day is the same, every day is the same. It will never change, right? So you have to do something different to change something in your life. Then we have our moon that is going from Aquarius, Pisces, Aries, Taurus, and that is saying see it, feel it, move it, ground it. And that is our sequence this week. How does that feel? Don't worry, we go through these sequences all the time, right? Because we keep cycling through those moons. And when you start to pay attention to the energies as they flow through the week and start to pay attention to, what each energy is, or how each planet or celestial body, what they are, how they are represented, or how they show up. When you start to understand that, you actually start to see collectively, you're like, yeah, that's happening. Or you see it in your friend circles and you're like, oh my God, that's happening. Yeah, absolutely. Everybody's going through it. Oh my God, boundaries are coming up huge right now. And you're like, yeah, everybody around me is having to either assert their boundaries, or someone's crossing their boundaries, or they're, and you're just like, that's coming up. And you can look at it in the energies and go, oh my God, it's actually aligned. So I always like to do an embodiment practice. On the Sundays, I've been asking a lot of questions of people. So I like to give you a moment to sit with yourself and to ask some of these questions. Now, I can look at the time that we're at right now in the recording. We're at just an hour and 5 minutes and 15 seconds. So just after an hour and 5 minutes. We are doing the questioning part. So you can always go to the YouTube channels. You can go to my YouTube channels and you can catch the lives over there and watch the replay. And I'll try to clip this embodiment practice and put it up as just a straight video anyway. But what it's asking you, or what I'm going to ask you, these questions for this week is, what are you seeing more clearly right now? Like, what is something in your life that just lately has just seemed so clear? And there you go. It makes sense now, right? That your Aries rising makes total sense. So take a moment and ask yourself, what am I seeing more clearly right now? And then you can step from what are you seeing to what am I feeling more honestly right now? So you can see how we're asking questions around the moons, right? Because it was, what am I seeing? What am I feeling? What I'm taking action on was the Aries one. So what am I tempted to move on too quickly? So what is something that you're making a really hasty decision on that you maybe need to go, okay, wait. Is this really the right decision? Do I need to sit with this for a minute? Okay. And then look at what actually feels like it can hold. Okay. And the answer isn't meant to be complicated. The more simple, the better, because it's more likely aligned. When we start to complicate things, or we start to really question things, like when there's a lot of like, I don't know what to do, and I don't know. Should I do this? Should I do that? That wiffle waffling, or whatever it's called. When you're doing that back and forth, that's because you're probably in ego mode, right? Your oversoul knows, your higher self knows. They're not questioning it. They wrote the pathway. They said, this is the way we're going to go. This is what we're going to learn. This is the experiences we're going to have. And if I don't learn it here, I'll learn it here. And if I don't learn it here, I'll learn it here. And at some point, I'm going to learn this lesson. And I have set myself up with a bunch of different experiences to learn it until I do. And that's the pattern. The pattern is, I'm going to keep seeing this pattern until I see that it is a pattern and I understand it's something I need to do or something they need to do to correct, so we can fix and not have this pattern, to evolve beyond it. So there's a change that needs to occur somewhere, or the relationship ends, or whatever it is, right? So how's that? How's that about the week? How do you feel? You feel a little more armed going into it? I think it's going to be an interesting week. I think that it's going to be a beautiful week. I love the energy that we got earlier from the cards. Did really display that the energy is shifting, right? It's a much more positive energy, and right, yeah, it's going to be a beautiful week. We're going to get really clear by the end of it and stabilize things and move forward from there. And that's just the beautiful thing. So if you're learning how to recognize these phases and so that you can recognize the phases instead of reacting to them, that's the type of stuff that I continue doing inside the Temple of Light, which is a free group on my website, linked in my website or in my bios. It's linked in my bios. So it gives you the space to deepen your awareness and to work with these cycles in a way that becomes lived, not just theoretical, right? Because that's what we need, is that to be embodied. That's how it becomes truth. That's how it becomes wisdom and not information. It has to be lived. And again, that's why these structures or why these things are falling, is because they're false. They weren't true. They weren't embodying what they were claiming that they were embodying. So those structures are rumbling around us because Capricorn and Pluto is asking for integrity in all things before we move forward. So this whole week is not asking you to rush into movement. It is showing you a sequence. Have your perspective, feel the feelings, get clear, activate what is truly aligned, and then on Saturday, stabilize that energy. Okay, so if you honor the sequence of the energy, what begins now is going to have a better chance of holding. Okay, so there you go. Cheers. I finished my tea. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. You're welcome. Where clarity deepens, direction becomes visible. And if we continue to walk the sky with awareness, it's helpful for all of us, but it's a beautiful way to incorporate. Like, we should be working with the planet. We should be working with the elements. We should be working with each other. We should be working with the unseen, right? With our higher self. Those types of things. So if this is one thing that gives you the opportunity to explore that, then stay tuned. On Wednesdays, my live is called Embodied Wisdom, and we just talk about all these different things, but about the things that we're supposed to be embodying, right? So we can talk about, sometimes we'll talk about dimensions, or we'll talk about the nervous system, we'll talk about all kinds of different things. But that's on Wednesdays. Wednesdays is more of like learning and stuff, although this one's, I guess, kind of learning too, but. And then on Saturdays, as like I said, the global meditation. Every single live, I start the live by checking in on the collective energy to see what we're dealing with. I use my cards. Sometimes I will offer some cards at the end of the live. And there will be the odd time that I'm going to put on a live where it will be just for paid readings, and I'll do readings on the air for you guys with my exclusive decks. I'm doing a deck right now that I'm really excited to release. And we'll see how long it takes before I get that one out. But for those of you, hello, love. For those of you that know me and have known me for a while, I've worked with trauma and the nervous system, and I've done so many sacred journeys, which then became Bridge to Light Phase 1, and is still those things that I'm doing. I now have trauma and nervous system support sessions on my site as well. And for those of you that know that about me, that I've done this for a long time, the one oracle deck that I'm doing is actually based on all of that. No, I haven't done that yet. No, I still have. So the Solange is our Hazel Kitten on the One Live, she's very aware of the stuff that I've done, for sure. So this is the tarot deck that I painted all the pictures. I did all the pictures for in Procreate. And then that's my tarot deck. And then I did the second deck that I did, I painted it with watercolors. And so then I painted this deck here, which is definitely a different deck. This is the Monad deck. So I painted that one. And then I moved from painting that one to painting the 44 Keys of the Way deck. And apparently nope. There's a couple that are backwards. That's all. And then I painted the 44 Keys of the Way deck. And I absolutely love this deck of cards. And then I made a quick little deck. And you haven't seen this one yet, Salasia. This is the Truth and Discernment deck, or I'm not sure yet if it's going to stay the Truth and Discernment deck or if it's going to be the Christic. It was the Christic Discernment deck, and then I changed it to Truth and Discernment, and it might stay Truth and Discernment. This one is, do you have a question? Actually, we'll do this. Do you have a question that you would like some clarity on? Do you have a question that you would like some clarity on? Okay, ask your question. These ones, you ask your question. Okay. You already know. And the other card that came out was light. Okay, so the with the you already know, the instruction is act on what is already clear. And the other card that came out is light. And light, the message is this interaction feels easeful and clean. Instructions, stay with it. It's going to be fine. I do truth and discernment. They're not really yes and no's, but they do have a yes and no in it. Did you like that? Make sure I didn't drop any other ones. You can ask a question and we'll see what the truth and discernment cards say. It will actually ask you, do you feel that in your body? Do you know? What's your knowing tell you? Does it feel light when you think about it? Oh, better make sure I can see my other comments. Is your ego kicking in? Like a little bit of fear with the ego? Has F been thinking about you? Okay, we'll see. We'll see what the cards say. We'll see what the cards say. Has F been thinking about M recently? Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Okay. It's like, hang on a second. You know, there is a yes and no in here. There's one yes and one no, and then there's not now, and there's some other cards like that. So there are some cards that could give that properly. I just have to stop reading salacious things. And okay. It says neutral. It just says observe without forcing meaning. Don't try to make something there where it isn't. That's what I'm getting from that, right? Don't try to worry about if somebody's thinking about you or not. I know, right? It's like you can't have the answer because you don't need that answer, right? Just be rock solid in you, and the people that you want to, that they're supposed to be in your life, they'll show up, they'll resonate. You'll know they resonate. It fell out twice. It fell out twice. I love that. Would anybody else like a question answered? You're welcome, love. Like me, come back. Any question. Good. I'm glad. Like, follow, come back, come hang out with me. I go live 3 times a week now. Saturdays are global meditation. We do the check in on the sky and what we're working with energetically. And then we also talk about all kinds of things to deal with who you are, how you're meant to live, like in the real, true of true. Me too. It's perfect. It's perfect. Hi, Texie. How are you? I'm just going to hang out and do some cards now. I actually have readings available on my site, guys. I put readings on again. After a long hiatus, I have readings available again. And these readings are fantastic because they're all with my exclusive decks. Howdy, how are you? How's Paco? Are you on the right? Oh, that's a good one. Okay. The African on the wrong track. The African on the right track. They are a good card to shuffle. They're like the perfect size, so that's why they shuffle so nicely. And there's so many different cards within here because there's cards that talk about how you feel truth in your body. There's cards that talk about how you will know truth in your mind or know that it's not true. There are also energy section, and then there's the section that is just truth and discernment. So it's, those are where you get the yes, no, maybe so, yes, no, neutral, all that stuff. Okay, I got to stop talking about the cards and focus on your question. I apologize. And you know what? The thing was, you know why I know the cards don't want to answer that? Because you're always in alignment. You're always in alignment, right? As you're in alignment with what you need to learn and and what you need to grow through every single time in that moment. Don't worry, don't wear the balls off the chest, right? Exactly. So we have clear, right? And clear is your thinking is aligned, and you were asking about aligned or on the right track, right? So it is, and it says trust the clarity. Okay, so you are on the right track. Does that mean that the next step? I did. I made all these cards. I actually, I have 4 decks that I made. I had my tarot deck. I painted all of these pictures for my tarot cards. And I also that. So I painted all these ones I did in Procreate. And then these ones I did in watercolor. These ones are just watercolor paintings. So I feel like someone's going through are you going through some challenges right now, Em? Hi, Cuddles. How are you, love? Yeah, you want to know why? Because when we're talking about my cards and I showed them to you, the one on top is the trial. And then the next one that I saw was the steady, the quiet strength, right? So it's just interesting that I pick up the whole cards, that I picked up the deck with two mountains, right? Cut the deck with the 2 mountains. And the card that came out was the path. So the open path. I remain open to new possibilities. Openness increases options. Rigidity narrows them. Curiosity invites solutions. Try one new approach. Observe results. Keep what works. So it's interesting that it does tell you to try one new approach as you're asking if you should get a new job. And the last line is keep what works. Yeah. And that's, that's a huge part of where you spend a significant portion of your time there. If you're spending your time somewhere where you're not, your energy is not being fed in the right way, then you're just lowering your vibration the entire time. And that's going to align you with a lot of lower energy too. Right? Like you're going to be exhausted. It affects your health. It's all of it. Like have a good job, have a good bed, and have a good home life. Because those are your 3 major sectors, right? And that home life could be an individual home life. It could be, in a relationship or whatever, right? Yeah, absolutely. I've been there. No problem. It's exhausting and then you burn out. If you don't take care of if you don't listen to yourself when it's giving you those signs, then that's when you burn out. And that's because you didn't listen. So your body says, okay, I'll shut you down. You don't want to stop when your brain says stop. You don't want to stop when your soul says stop. I'm going to make you stop. And that's what ends up happening. Hello. All right. Did anybody else want a card? Did anybody else want a card? You can ask for a card too. Even though you just showed up, I'll be generous and give you a card. Nope, nobody. We're good. We're good. We're good. All right, guys. I've been live for over an hour now, for sure. Almost an hour and a half, actually. I will tap off at that. You're welcome. Yeah, and that's the problem. That's when you're not listening to yourself. You're not listening to yourself. Your body's going, listen, Linda, listen. Right? So your practice, and this you can call you can call me auntie or whatever. I don't care. I have, you can call me auntie. Auntie says every day, ask your body what it needs. Right? Just put your hand on your body, take a nice deep breath and slow it down and just ask your body what it needs and then listen. So if it says it needs nothing, that doesn't mean that you laze and doom scroll. Okay, that's not nothing. If your body says nothing, that means you sit there and you actually do nothing. You just sit there in thought and just maybe look out the window. Like you're just not doing anything. Sometimes it'll ask you to move. Sometimes it'll ask you for compassion, or it'll ask you for a whole bunch of things. So go and listen to what it asks you for, and you'll be a lot happier, a lot further along. And you'll be making decisions that are more aligned and grounded in embodied decisions. How was Jackson's birthday? Oh, I got ducks. 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 Oh my God, celebrate with me. And everybody's like, I don't understand what she's going on about. I have a little pond at my place. I just moved here in the fall, and I have a little pond, and the pond's still quite frozen, like still a little bit frozen over. But I have ducks. I have ducks. My dog just barked at them. I go live at, what time zone are you in? I'm in Alberta, so I'm in the mountain time zone. I go live on Sunday at 6 p.m. Mountain, which would be 8 p.m. Eastern. I go live on Wednesdays at 6:30 p.m. or 8:30 p.m. Eastern. And I go live on Saturdays at 10:45 a.m. Okay, so 12:45 a.m. So 8 on Sundays, 8:30 on Wednesdays, and 10:45, sorry, on Saturdays, which would be perfect. Please do join. Come back and hang out. All right, I'm going to hop off here. I love you guys. Have a beautiful, beautiful night. And I will end up seeing you guys on Wednesday. Check out my content. And yes, definitely follow me, okay? Definitely follow me. I never, ever DM you for readings. I have a website. So if anyone DMs you, it's not me. Okay. I do have 3 channels, but I won't DM you from any of them. So don't worry about that. Okay. All right. I love you guys.